Hi, guys. Welcome back, and thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Black Millennial Wife. I'm Jet.
And I'm Avis, so we'll go right into our Black business highlight. I would like to highlight the funnel bar. So if you are in the Houston area and you like funnel cakes, and it's not just regular funnel cakes, it's like the most decadent funnel cakes you can think of. So like cheesecake on the top, ice cream, cookie stuffs and cereal stuffs and all of that. But they're amazing. It's a food truck, so they go to all different type of locations around Houston. But you can find them on Instagram. You can also find them on their website, and it's thefunnelbar.com. You do have to order online. Let me tell you, they are not going to take your order if you just walk up to the truck. It's in an effort to cut down on interaction because we are in a pandemic. So they care about your health and their health as well. So check them out. Go visit, get a funnel cake, write them a good review.
Okay, I can get with that because at first I was like, y'all doing too much. But okay, if it's because of the pandemic, I'm down for it. Okay, so I would like to highlight the Helm, which is a eyeglass line created by Coco and Beezy. Not only do I love their names, they have beautiful eyewear. They have eyeglasses, sunglasses, of all different sorts. And they just have beautiful styles, and they're all different. So if you're in the market for some sunglasses, don't go out and buy these other people glasses. Find you a nice Black-owned business and get you some new frames. All right, so at the beginning of our marriage, I would say trying to figure out and learn how to reset after an argument or disagreement was probably one of the most difficult things, especially for me, because if you don't know me, I'm going to let you know right now that I can hold on to something for a long time. And I'm a Scorpio. And Scorpios are known for never forgetting when something is done to slight them. Even if it's not major. I mean, we could be talking about something very small. Avis is over here having all the emotions and feels, but we're not going to get into that right now. We're speaking in regards to marriage. And it was one of the hardest things for me to learn how to get past a situation. And it's crazy because I was always that girl that was like, oh, I know things aren't going to be perfect in marriage, and I know we're going to have issues and stuff like that, but I'd rather be living in a cardboard box with my husband than not being with him at all. And all those things, all them things that you say before you actually get into the thing. And it was just very hard. And it was a skill that it took me years to learn how to be able to step back, let things go, and reset so that we can move forward and be in a better place.
It took us a long time too. And I don't even think we're people that would describe ourselves as like grudge holders like you are. But it did take, our cycle was, before we were able to kind of work through it, was something would happen, we would get into an argument, and then we would go days without really like acknowledging each other's presence. And then we would get to a certain point where really it was me. I was so tired of being angry because I was usually the one that was angry. He wasn't really tripping. Like, he could kind of compartmentalize and put that situation somewhere in the back of his head and then function regularly. But I couldn't. I was just consumed by my emotion or my anger or me being sad or whatever. And I would go so many days feeling these intense feelings, and I would just be physically exhausted at the end, right? And so at that point, I'm just like, I'm so sick of being mad at you. We just need to work this out. Like, come on, let's talk it out. Let's get it done. And my approach at that point was much different than my approach at the original argument. My approach at the original argument was very forceful, my way or the highway, like, really just headstrong. And my approach after I had been beaten down by these intense emotions for 3 or 4 days was more like, hey, I'm ready to hear you. Like, hey, I want to fix this. Like, I don't want us to sit in this anger for so long. Like, and so I think for us, it just took maturity in ourselves as individuals and then maturity in our marriage to get to the place where we could let things go faster. Like it don't take 4 days of us having an attitude with each other to really be able to come to each other in love and say, hey, I want to work this out. I don't want to be mad at you. Like, can we fix it? So, yeah.
So would you physically say, like, when you were first talking about how like the second approach would be you would saying, I'm ready to hear you, would you physically like say those words?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
probably like, um, and even more than just the words, like my body language was different. You know what I mean? Like my facial expressions weren't as animated. I know there were a few times early in our marriage where I understood and I think Phil was able to express that like it was uncomfortable to talk to me about certain things because I was so judgmental from jump. Like I was so judgmental. He just wasn't comfortable coming to me with certain things. And so my solution was to turn off the lights. Like so you can't see my face. So you cannot see my body language. Like let's talk to each other in the dark. So all that we have are our words because I am not to the level at that time. I wasn't to the level where I could school my facial expressions. I could school my neck rolls and my eye rolls and all of that and my huffing and puffing. And so turning off the lights gave Philip a safe enough space to feel like he could talk to me. And it gave me time to hear what he was saying, have my initial reaction, but be able to work past that and to really get what he was saying or trying to communicate to me. So that helped.
Yeah, I think we've had some pretty good conversations in the dark or while we're driving. So, like, if he's driving, he can't be turned over and looking at me like, you know, feeling those things. So, we would have some of our good conversations at night in the bed or while he's driving. And I will say, there had been some times where the conversation would start like via text message when we're not together so that he could say what he needs to say because I was the same way. My initial reaction was more of and I thought I was holding it back as I thought I was doing a good job, but then he later informed me that I was not. But I definitely feel like I had to grow, and it was me because Trey is even kill 24/7, regardless of the situation. Even in a cantankerous situation, he's still even kill, which is great. It's the balance to my complete opposite personality. But I did have to learn that my reactions would cause my husband to shut down and to not want to share with me. And that's not what I wanted. And I also knew that um, my, whenever we would get into something, I grew in a spiritual way, which is what helped me to learn how to reset. And my growth spiritually was I don't want, and I think let me backtrack a little bit. Um, we have a common person that we know from college that died at a very young age. And she was married, had children, and was literally going about her life, traveling on the road, and was killed. Blink of an eye. And I know for a fact she didn't know that that was going to happen. We all know that. But what really sat with me was what was the last conversation with her husband like? Did she get to tell her kids good night and I love you because it was at night? Things like that. And those things, even though maybe it wasn't in that very moment, were the things that started to shift my mindset and say that I don't ever want to be in a situation where I had control to change the dynamic and to reset in a situation that may have been a disagreement or what have you. And I didn't take that opportunity, and now I've lost my husband. I know for a fact that that situation that I'm referring to was one that made me truly live in a way that was like, I'm going to say tomorrow's never promised, but I mean it in such a more grand scale. Like, my husband could literally drive to the gym and never make it home. I could go to work and never make it home. So don't ever walk out of the house without saying goodbye or I love you or whatever the case may be, because it could be the very last moment that I get to see the man that I love so very dearly. And I want that to be on my heart that I couldn't say I'm sorry, or I couldn't say, hey, okay, I'm ready to hear you and I want to get past this situation. Because just like you, I could go for days without talking to Trey in the midst of an argument. And then it would make me even more mad because of his personality, and it seemed like it didn't affect him. So now I'm doubly mad. I'm over here trying to figure out what I could do to you in your sleep because you don't care. You stop nodding real fast. I ain't trying to kill him, but just shock him a little bit. Just stir up his spirit, because obviously what we're going through ain't stirring up his spirit like it stirred up mine. So I had to realize that life is too short and being angry is no fun. And when you are angry, it's most likely you're the only one who's angry. Because especially for my husband, and we've had this conversation with friends, and he will say, I would go and just be la-di-da-di-dee, la-di-da-di-day on purpose so that she would get over it faster. Lo and behold, it's making me more upset. But he would do that intentionally, thinking that was going to get me over the situation. So you're trying to have some type of effect on me, but it's just having the opposite effect. So all of those things, and I can laugh about it now, but it was very serious year 1, 2, 3, and 4, probably. But I had to grow past that and realize that life is just too short to hold that type of grudge that I was holding, and to be walking past each other in our home and not speaking to each other.
Yeah, I think I have a similar thought process, but I think what really like made me change is I cannot be the type of mother that I need to be and want to be to my son if I'm consumed emotionally by how annoyed I am with my husband. Like, that is going to be put off on my son in some type of way, whether I'm trying to or not. Like, I'm not going to be as happy and as playful and as ready to chase him around the house and all the other kind of stuff. And I was just like, I can't be the mama that I want to be if I'm letting you disturb my spirit, like you said, to the point that I'm consumed by my anger and by my frustration. And so it's just not really, when you look back on the arguments that, we've had in our marriage and the things that have caused strife and grief, I really, and my memory is not the best, but I don't remember 95% of that mess. I don't remember that stuff no more. So was it really that big a deal? Was it really big enough to make us not talk to each other for days on end, being in the same house? No. So, and I think remembering that going into the next one, right, which is coming, because everybody got one coming, an argument coming is around the corner. going into that next one, if you just remember 2 years from now, a year from now, you're not even going to remember this conversation. It's going to serve you so much better to just get it out the way, just deal with it and move past it. And
Yeah.
so, it takes time for sure to be to that place. It takes a certain partner too, I would say. Like, I don't think I would have been able to do that and come to this place had I married the young man that I thought I was going to marry. And so, so you just gotta be prayerful that you have the person that the Lord decided was best for you, and prayerful that they're to the place where they can work past things and reset and refocus.
Absolutely. And for me, I totally agree with you. There are situations that um you can't even remember that weren't even worth all of that. And for me at the same time, and I will definitely attest to this, and there are some that I do remember, that I remember very clearly, but at the same time, I still would say that it was not worth us going days without talking to each other and being that angry and upset. It just wasn't worth it, especially in the grand scheme of things, to know that that could have been our last time talking. That could have, I mean, there's so many endless could haves, but the thing is, you just never know. So it's not a situation on woulda, coulda, shoulda. It's don't do it. Don't allow it to consume you to the point where you become so withdrawn that, number one, you open up opportunity for the devil to come in, because that's all he's trying to do. We have to remember and we have to realize these disagreements and battles that we fight with our spouse and our loved ones is not our spouse. That's nothing but the devil. That is the devil. Our situations that we encounter are all spiritual. That's the devil trying to come in and destroy the family unit, because if he can destroy the family unit, then he's successful. He has succeeded. So that's what he's trying to do. For we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against evils, against the rulers and darkness of this world. That's straight up scripture. So obviously we're not fighting against the flesh and blood of our spouse. We're fighting against spiritual powers. And we have to remember that.
That what you just said makes me remember a post that Amanda Seals posted. You know who she is?
Yep.
I think she's very well spoken, and she says a lot of things that I would want to say. And she had a quick little video that she just posted recently talking about how, have you ever been in a conversation with someone and you realize that their trauma and hurt is speaking for them? Like, you're not even talking to that person anymore. You're having a conversation with their hurt and their trauma. And so that really made me take a step back and just think of the times, and not even necessarily with my husband, with family members, with friends, that I was so critical and so quick to judgment and so quick to anger and so quick to cut people off. But really and truly, all that situation was their trauma and their hurt coming to the surface. But I was not mature enough to realize that, and I cut them off or ended the friendship or whatever, or had a much bigger emotional reaction than I should have had I been able to identify, this is not even you talking. This is not even you talking. This is what you've been through talking. And I am going to be a better friend or a better spouse or a better sister or a better cousin, and give you grace during that time and be there for you, whether it be close there for you, because you don't let nobody treat you bad just because they hurt. So I may take a little distance, but I'm going to still be there for you. And so we have to be able to understand that in our spouse too. Like, we're not the only persons that have been hurt right? Like our spouse has experienced trauma, whether they realize it or not, whether they acknowledge it or not. That is the human experience. And so if we give grace in those scenarios, I think that helps us reset faster, get back on track faster, get back to being a healthy relationship, having a healthy relationship and a healthy marriage faster.
Absolutely. And it'll make the years feel, um, I'm not going to say shorter, but it won't drag things on. It just allows everything to flow. When you just allow things to let go, just let go and give people grace. I think that's definitely something important to remember.
Yeah.
All right. So, I would say my takeaway for this episode is, remember that life is just too short and you never know when your last moment with your loved one will be. So let stuff go. Don't hold on to it. It's not worth it.
I say my takeaway is give people grace, um, especially your spouse, because we need a lot of grace. I know I need a lot of grace. And so I should be more willing to give grace freely and be able to move past things faster.
Absolutely. All right, so we're going to wrap up our episode with how we won at adulting this week. Listen, we all want to grow up. We all want to be adults. And then the bills come, the mortgage comes, and they don't stop coming. But we want to celebrate when we do things to be the best women, wives that we can possibly be. So I would like to celebrate how I won at adulting this week by sharing. I got a new mattress. Listen, it's the first mattress I have ever bought. Our first mattress my mother bought for us. Our whole bed set my mother bought for us as a wedding gift. And she paid for our wedding. That's neither here nor there. My mom's just the bomb.com. Nonetheless, so we actually straight up 8 years. She got it in September when we got married 8 years ago, and boom, is now October. So straight up 8 years we lasted in that thing, but we got us a new one. So I'm super excited about it, and I'm proud of myself.
Good job, Jet. So, my way that I wanted adulting this week, we have a cabinet in our kitchen that stores all of our to-go containers, all of our Tupperware, all of that. And it was a hot mess. It had gotten to the point where I would get a container out to put away some food or something, and I would just leave it on the counter, and I would ask Philip, hey, can you find a lid? Like, I'm not even about to look for the lid. I'm not. And if he couldn't find it or he didn't feel like looking for it, that's what they got press and seal wrapped for. So I would just put the press and seal on the container and put it in the refrigerator. So I mentioned before that we are starting the process on like trying to move and all of that. And so I was just like, let me go through this now. And it was stuff everywhere. We had containers everywhere. I went through and threw away, I would say, at least 60% of what we had in there. And so I did it. And then I sent Philip pictures, which was my first mistake, because Philip don't like to hold on to a lot, but he will hold on to some Tupperware or a to-go container. I don't understand, but he was just like, you threw all of that away? You should have saved. I was just like, wait a minute, sir. You could have did this, but you didn't. I did. So I'm going to throw away what I want to throw away. And so I know he's outside of this room right now hearing me. And as soon as we get off this call, I'm going to have to listen to his mouth again. But I got rid of what we didn't need.
Congratulations, sis, on getting your Tupperware in order.
So thank you again for watching the Black Millennial Wife. Let us know in the comments how you reset. Do y'all go on a date? Do you take some time apart from each other? Do you have a conversation? What is your method? Because we want to help someone else come up with a way to ensure that their marriage is healthy. So don't forget to like, share, and comment below, and be on the lookout for our next episode on Friday.